Okay. Okay, I guess we're live.
Yahoo!
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like super melodramatic there. Nice little intro for you. Um, I just want to double check and make sure we actually are live because I'm weird
Uh-huh.
like that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
probably a good idea.
yeah, I think we are, but I'll make sure. Yes, we are live. So, good evening,
Yay!
everybody. I'm Dustin from Track Days, and I'm on with a longtime friend of mine, Melissa Paris. Now, just a quick introduction to Melissa Paris. Like, I've known her since what, 2003? And what, you've
Yeah.
been a club racer, you've done world endurance, you've rode a
I was a
moto
street squid. Don't forget that part.
you were a MotoGP test rider for a minute, right?
Yeah,
And
like,
now you're like a team owner, a mom, like wife, all that. Like you have like a
mm-hmm.
giant weight on your shoulders. But yeah, everybody, that's
Mm-hmm.
Melissa.
Yay!
But yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Like I met you in what 2003. We did a track day at Streets of Willow, I think, and
Yeah.
this like Palomar hood rat kid comes up and rides with us. So
Yeah. I think I'd actually been to one of your track days before even riding. My boyfriend at the time did his first track day, and I was just hanging out. And I was
okay,
like, well, that looks fun.
nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
and then
And then,
and and then you progressed. I remember a lot of people talking to you, obviously, and probably because you're a
yeah, I
chick
was a girl.
on a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, right,
It's funny because it's like not even a big deal anymore, you
right.
know? Um, but for sure, like back then, and it's also funny because like at that age when you're like 21, 22, you think you're like a grown up and smart and know stuff.
Yeah,
And like now looking back, I'm like, oh, I was so stupid. Like, you know what I mean? But for
yeah.
sure, like probably like a lot of boys talking,
I mean,
right?
so let me ask you this: like when you first started riding on the track, like how many times did you meet the quote unquote unsolicited advice guy?
Yeah, yes. All the time. But the thing that's like the worst about it, and it's funny because when I was involved with BTR, this is something I tried to warn these girls about, is when I first started out, I had this idea that like if you rolled up to a total stranger and started spouting off advice, you must really know what you're talking about. So I listened to a lot of that crap for
Oh
so
man.
long. So like I think I like went down like a lot of really like wrong paths like listening to people, and it's so funny cuz like I look back now and I'm like, "Oh, I wish I could go back to that version of myself and like teach her to tell people to shut up."
Wow. I mean, I can remember. I want to say I remember you in new racer school at WSMC, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure. I'd done like a CCS race, but WSMC wouldn't take my race license from them, so I had to take the new racer school over again with Danny Farnsworth, and he scared me.
oh my God, you were one of the people that did Danny's school. I love it.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
did he do this all the time when he was talking? Because he'd been.
Like my two takeaways from Danny Farnsworth were make sure you poop before you go on track
Don't
because
hit the berm.
if you crash, you'll poop your pants or
I
something.
remember that.
I was really worried about that.
Oh my God.
And then number two, like if you run off in turn eight, grab the front brakes because if you jump over the berm, you're gonna end up in the middle of the street and you're gonna be like a guy eating his meals through a
Do a
tube in the
straw.
hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like it's like seared in my brain.
Me too, man.
Yeah,
I think every racer that went through Farnsworth School has that same mindset, right? Like that same
yeah,
like don't
it
hit the
was
berm. Like I remember
wild.
that.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
funny because like yeah, like to me it was like Willow Springs in my mind was like no different than the street. Like, do not run off the track because you will crash and die.
Yes.
Like, which is probably like semi accurate, but like not totally accurate. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's
Oh
funny
my
because
God.
even now, if I run off the track somewhere, Josh is like clapping. He's like so proud of me because he's like, you always leave so much in reserve. And I'm like, Danny Farnsworth said I'd poop my pants.
Yes. I do, dude. I still do the pre-race dump, right? Like you got to.
Oh,
Yeah.
girl.
I
Girls
mean,
don't
he
poop.
he he died. He died a few years, several years ago now. I think shit, like 10 years ago maybe. And
Yeah.
I actually went to his funeral. There was a bunch of old WSMC guys, like Kopecky and those
Yeah.
guys, all showed up. And
Wow.
dude, I mean, like I remember making jokes about Farnsworth because he was like a dude that really needed a size 36 pants, but he always wore 28s,
Yeah, for sure.
right? So it's
I
like I,
can't
I
say
called
anything.
it
I do the same thing now, so it's fine.
the Farnsworth Shuffle, I think is what we called it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then
Yeah.
the WSMC thing. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you kind of pitted next to or with the guys that were sponsored by Arrogant Bastard Beer,
Did
right?
I? No, I was. Well, I kind of worked. Man, I almost just said I worked my way through that paddock, and it would have.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, it would have been like accurate, but whatever. Uh,
You said it. I noticed that you said it, not
I
me.
can see how red you're turning right now.
I mean, I
I
was
think
I
I
wasn't
had to say
gonna go there,
we're
man.
going to.
Why do you gotta say that about me, man? Like, I mean, I guess because you know me, but
Well, that situation with my dad, right? It's like
okay, here we go. The situation with your dad.
a
Okay.
situation with my dad. I hope people are listening. I'm ready to just burn you to the ground for this one.
Oh my God. You've been burning me to the ground for that for like over 10 years. Like, stop.
Dude, it was pretty bad.
It was funny though. I mean, it's made like comedy gold over the years, and
Yeah.
the story's gotten way worse since
Yeah,
it started.
it's a fish
But
for sure.
yeah, I mean, look, I was gonna like leave that alone, but yeah, I
Yeah, that's
mean,
fine. No, I
yeah,
pitted with a lot of different people. Like, I think I was still kind of like trying to find my way and like the same, like you said, like a lot of unsolicited advice. So I was like, oh, like
right,
this guy's trying to help me. Like, he told me
right,
I should pay a bunch of money to like revalve my stock shock. Isn't he smart? And
right. I mean, we've
I
all
pit
been there.
I pitted with that guy that got caught stealing all the bikes. Remember that dude?
Oh, Ruben
Ruben.
Munoz? No
Mm-hmm.
shit. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That guy, at the WSMC Awards banquet that year was like, "Hey man, I've got a GSXR.
I bet.
I've got everything for you
Mm-hmm.
except the engine cases and the frame. I'll give it to you for
All the
like
things.
1,500." And I was like, "Wow, the only things without VIN numbers I could have for 1,500. You know what, man? That sounds like a great deal, but I'm gonna hold off." And then like a month later,
Dude.
he was in the clink, dude. So
Dude. I was pitting with him the weekend he wrote his bike off in turn 8 and then miraculously fixed it and raced the next day. And I
yeah,
was totally clueless. Like,
right.
I was just like, wow, you're an amazing mechanic.
Meanwhile,
Like, I had no idea.
right over the PA, people were looking for that dude's bike, and it was like,
Yeah, bike got stolen out of the paddock.
wow.
Fucking
Like, I will never forget
crazy.
that. I will never
Yeah.
forget that. And I
Mm-mm.
think he raced the national with that dude's bike too.
Stop
At
it.
Sears Point.
That's wild.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean it was nuts. Like that whole. Yeah, he. I remember I had that CBR 600, and he was always trying to give me like random parts for it, and I was like, I don't need a swing arm. I don't understand. Like, yeah, that
Yeah.
just goes to show you like how naive I was. When I first started, I was just like, yeah, like oh, like this guy's just trying to like give me motorcycle parts. Like I'm sure they're not stolen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the thought would never cross your mind, right? I mean,
No, like why
you
would
know.
you steal a motorcycle?
And
Like
then
that's insane.
when that happened too, like I remember the feeling that we used to all have up until that point was that,
Yeah.
you show up to set up your pit, you leave all your shit there all weekend, everything's
Yeah.
out, and then you come back the next morning and you would never expect anything missing. And then after that,
Yeah.
I mean, it
It
was
was
like leathers and toolboxes and stuff that went missing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
just wild. Big
yeah.
sad.
Yeah, so I do remember you did have that Honda for a minute, and then I want to say you had a 125 for a
Yeah,
minute.
I had the Honda and then the 600 and then basically like my friends all had like this intervention on me because I just like hit this wall, couldn't figure out how to go faster. Also had no money. And they're like, "You need to get a 125." So I was able to consign the 600 I was racing because I was still making payments on it. And then my dad loaned me the money to get an RS 125, so I raced that.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
still
mean,
haven't paid him back.
that's not surprising. Um,
Yeah, no.
yeah. So right, and then you had a 250 after that, right? Or were you racing the
Yeah, so
250 and the 600 at the same time, or?
yeah, so then I moved to Mississippi with Josh, and I like kind of worked my way through a couple different bikes, and then I ended up getting a 250, and I had a CBR 600, and I was racing both of those.
Yeah.
And then in 2009, when I did my first year of pro stuff, I switched all to Yamaha. Yeah,
Nice.
and
Nice.
it's been better that way.
Yeah, I was talking to Sherm from CFE. You know that guys?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Sherm Dog or whatever.
Yeah.
So Sherm Dog, I was like, yeah, man, I remember, the story I tell anyway is like what I remember when you met Josh and like you looked at him like he was a steak, and then. But get this, like Sherm responded immediately. He's like, "Oh, now she looks at him like a cold slice of pizza."
So funny. Oh my gosh. It was like so funny. Michael Beck actually is like who kind of got us talking to each other. He said, he came up to me and he was like, hey, that dude Josh Hayes was asking about you in the writers' meeting. And he's like, you
Wow.
should go talk to him. And I was like, no way. And so like Josh like wandered over to where the lap times were posted and I kind of like wandered over there and we were just like staying and like neither one of us said anything. I mean, it was like all day of us just like around each other until finally one of us, I don't even remember, someone got the courage and said something.
I think it was
Yeah,
you. Josh was like
probably.
super shy, right?
Yeah.
He's like kicking
No,
rocks, like,
he's
oh
not.
shucks.
No, he's not shy at all. He took me
Well,
out to dinner that night and I was like, he's pretty nice, but he talks a lot.
yeah. Wow, that's something.
No, it was super funny. We always laugh about it now. It's good.
Yeah. So anyway, the CFE dudes were saying that they wanted to make sure that I told you that Sherm Dog said
He's
what's up. So
yeah. What's up, Sherm?
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a dude on the podcast thing last week, and he was the guy that Stamboli body slammed on the at the podium
Dude, you're
earlier
gonna
this year.
have to be more specific because there's been more than one of those.
At the podium this year, Richard?
Oh,
Oh,
there's one this year. There's another one that he threw up the side of his truck at Mid Ohio.
yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of Richard
There
throwing
was there
shit, but
was
like
footprints like 8 feet up the side of his truck from
that
this guy's poor flailing feet.
that doesn't surprise me. Like, did the guy like leave a scooter in a semi or something?
No, it was like someone that had worked for him before and then was like, I think actually working with Chad Lewin maybe. And
Okay.
then he got all drunk and he came over here and like started mouthing. And he was like a little dude. And he came over and started mouthing off to Richard. And then I don't know what happened, but then there was like a ragdoll incident. And dude left feet prints on the side of the semi and then he got arrested. So
So when did you make the transition to doing nationals? Because
2009, I did my first, like, I didn't do the whole season, but I did like 5 or 6 races.
I remember watching you
Yeah.
doing the Daytona 200 at night. Like
Yeah,
we
that
used to
was
do these
wild.
we used to do these viewing parties of the 200 at Hooters.
You guys were probably like, what is that squid doing?
I was like, dude, you guys are racing 600s in the 200 at night. Like that was weird.
Do you know what the worst part was? It was really cold. And like when it's cold, like I get all teary and like snotty. And like on like lap 2 going into the chicane, I hit the brakes and like exhale. And like this big glob of like snot came out and like coated the inside of my visor. And like the whole rest of the race, I couldn't see anything.
Well, it prevented it from fogging up though, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean, kind of, but everything was all like,
that's awesome.
yeah, it
So
was gross.
so you didn't do the full season, but '09, that's the year you did a wild card in World Supersport too, right?
Yeah, literally my second like pro race was a wild card in World Supersport.
At
It was
Miller.
wild. Yeah, it was nuts. And I was like so nervous. Josh was like, I think this is a bad idea. And I was I was like, I'll show you. And then it was funny because afterwards I was the top qualifying wild card and he was like, holy shit, you like leveled up. And I was like, watch this. I'm gonna blow my bike up on the first lap.
Well, Utah had a reputation for doing that on that long straightaway, right?
Yeah,
Blowing
for
up
sure. We were
engines.
just trying to like make something that could compete with those World Super Sport engines, but like on a bit of a budget was kind of a challenge, you know? So,
Yeah, I would imagine.
yeah.
Not going to mention names or anything.
Yeah, anyway, whatever. It was
Yeah.
fine. It was fast until it wasn't.
That's usually the way it goes, though, right?
Yeah.
That thing ran
Yeah.
like great till it
Yeah.
didn't.
It was such a cool experience though to get to do that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I don't know, it was wild. Like,
You know,
yeah.
that weekend, I guess I could say that I was in the group that was similar to what CFE does. It was like me and that uh, Danny Sillett, the Danger guy. Remember him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was me, Danger, Stevie, and
Oh,
then
Stevie.
yeah, right, Ryan Whitman, and then
Wow.
Hong, the Ryan Hong.
Yeah.
And so it was like the five of us, and I don't think we walked around Miller that weekend without a tall boy in our hands.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and that weekend we convinced Stanboli to hang with us. So we're out by Black Rock Corners in the bleachers right there trying to do the wave, just the six of us, right?
Awesome. Amazing.
Yeah.
And Richard
So,
was probably just like,
dude, we actually got him to open up a little bit. He was like drinking pitchers of beer with us and all that. So,
wild. I love it.
yes,
Good for you
yeah,
guys.
yeah, it's pretty
Amazing.
fun. But yeah, so being like the weird, like we weren't quite as we were pretty obnoxious, but I guess we weren't quite as like on camera as the CFE guys are.
Dude, the
And
CFE guys are amazing, right? Like, I love them. They're such a great addition to our sport.
I
Yeah, I'm
think
always
so
happy when
too.
they show up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're at VIR every year, Pittsburgh and Jersey typically, right? But
Yeah,
VIR is off the schedule this year. That's kind of a bummer, no?
I know. It is like personally, I hate that place. Like I've had the worst luck at that racetrack. But it's a good track and it's a rider's track, which I really like. Now that I'm not riding. Uh, and yeah, I think it produces good racing and it's fun as a viewer. There's like so many cool places to watch it. And from what I hear, they just literally like gave our date away to like a car drifting event or something.
Oh
So
my God.
it's just a bummer.
So just a heads up, Sean Summers just asked me to ask you where his impact screwdriver is. So I don't know.
What?
I don't know if you know. You remember Sean Summers?
Oh, I remember Sean Summers.
Yeah, dude.
He's
Yeah,
got a
so
Catahoula like me.
that's the name of that dog. We saw a puppy at the getting shots with that looked like a Catahoula,
Oh yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? I was like trying to remember what
Impact
kind of dog it was.
screwdriver.
Yeah,
Sean, you're smoking crack. I don't have your impact screwdriver.
he said that you borrowed it at Willow like 20 years ago.
20 years ago, I wouldn't have even know what to do with an impact screwdriver. You must have me mixed up with
Oh
some other
man.
paddock hussy.
So you started nationals in '09, and
Yeah.
but you've done quite a bit of racing since then. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I mean the R6, the
I
uh,
did a year in Spain. I did a bunch of world endurance. I got to do an endurance race in Japan at Suzuka. I got to do a classic race at Phillip Island. It's pretty crazy. I keep waiting for someone to be like, get back to Palomar, you squid. But it hasn't happened yet.
that's amazing. So knowing that you've been all over. So what's your
Yeah.
favorite track in the U.S.?
Oh, in the US, Miller, hands down. It's the best.
Still?
Yeah. Still. Yeah. A million times, yes. It's always been Miller.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Road America too. Like that'd be my like as far as like current tracks we go to, Road America, but no, Miller, I got my first win on my RS 250 there. I did 2 wild cards in World Super Sport. I felt like I always just like rode my best at that track. Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously internationally, what's your favorite?
Whew. It's hard.
Wow.
Um Suzuka's pretty special. Like just the atmosphere. Like the Japanese fans are amazing and like seeing that carousel like you've seen in the video games so many times and the track itself is pretty wild. that's pretty like just like the feeling you have when you're there is pretty special. Um, I really like Paul Ricard in the south of France. It's got a back straight that's over a mile long, so that's wild.
So you're wide open
And
in sixth gear forever.
forever, it's crazy. Like, yeah, it's nuts. Um, Especially on an R1, you know, like it's fast. It's so fast. So that's cool. And then I think, I don't know, God, I know you said one, but Aragon's pretty wild. No, I don't know. Jerez is good. Dude, they're all good. I love racing. Racetracks are cool. Yes, please. They're all good. I haven't really met many that I don't like.
Oh man, that's so
Yeah.
funny. So, you did the world endurance thing. How was that? Like you did like a 24-hour, right?
I've done a bunch of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're amazing. Like I don't think many of your viewers could relate to this, but like the closest thing I can relate it to is childbirth. It's
Wow,
crazy.
Jesus.
Like it's so hard. Like it's so hard and you go through so many emotions and it's like, you know, at the beginning you're like full of all this excitement and you're amped up. And then at like 3 in the morning, you're like, I think I just this I'm never doing this again. Motorcycles are stupid. I'm cold. I can't see shit. I want to go home. Blah, 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 blah. And then the sun starts coming up, and you're like, oh my God, I might actually make it. And then, like, you finish the race, and you're like, when's the next one? Like, let's do it again. So yeah, it's a lot. It's really cool. I really, it's probably some of my favorite racing I've done, honestly.
Wow.
It's so hard, though. Like, yeah. It's actually, like, it's funny because I did a couple of them and then I had Hawk and then I went back and did a couple more. And it was really funny the first one when I went back the this dude Pierre who runs the team, girls racing team that I was racing for, like it's like 3 or 4 in the morning and he was like, "Oh my God, you're so much better at night than you used to be. Like you used to be so like moody and like downcast and like struggle and now you're like bringing everyone else up and like making sure everyone else has what they need and you're like doing good lap times." And I'm like, "Dude, this is so easy now. Like after having a kid, like it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm awake, nobody's yelling at me. This is fine. Like I could do this forever." So,
That's
yeah.
that's amazing. I remember you telling me, I want to say you raced at Utah pregnant,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah. I was like
Everybody's like, "Wow,
four and a half,
your leathers are getting a
5 months.
little tight, Melissa. You got to get back on the
Right.
bicycle, right?"
It was so funny because like I wish I could remember who I was like battling with. It was like a support race at a Moto America race, but it was like sanctioned by Weira or something. It was
Okay.
like before Stock Thousand was a thing. And I was like battling with this dude like the whole race and then I like beat him at the end. Like right when I finished, like went by start finish, I blew a head gasket, blew my bike up. So that was cool. But he rolled up to me and was like, not bad for a guy in his 40s, right? And I so badly wanted to be like,
Not
not
bad for
bad
a
for a
chick
chick
that's
who's
knocked
knocked
up.
up.
I think I remember you telling me that
Yeah.
those exact words.
It
Oh
like
my
took
God.
all my self-control, like not to say it. It was so funny. Yeah. It was
Oh
cool.
my God. That's
Yeah, now I wonder why my kid's like totally mental. I think I was talking to Matt Lynn. I don't know if you remember Matt Lynn, but he was like, I think you like adrenaline doped your kids like while they were in the womb and now they're just like psycho.
because you were doing like dirt track and stuff, like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My midwife was like, "Hey, if your gear fits, you can ride." So I was like using pliers to like pull the zipper up. Well, it fits.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It all
That's
worked out.
awesome, man.
I got so much hate online when people found out about it, though, which was
Really?
really crazy. Yeah, like Refinery 29 did like a story about it, about that race in Miller, and the comments were insane. Like the stuff people said was just like, people were like, she should have her children taken away from
Oh
her,
man.
and yeah, it was wild. People are
Bunch of people
crazy.
that don't ride or don't race or
Yeah,
anything, right? Yeah.
yeah, totally. They have
Like,
no idea
oh,
what they're talking
we're
about.
so sorry for that you've missed your safety because you left the safety of your couch for 5
Yeah, I was like,
seconds.
at least I'm not like sitting on the couch like eating bonbons, getting like gestational diabetes and like, you know what I mean? I was like, I don't know, whatever. Everyone
Wow.
has opinions. That went to a
I mean,
dark place.
haters gonna hate, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck
Like I
'em.
feel like if you're not like upsetting a couple people along the way, you're probably not doing a good job.
Yeah, I guess I do a good job then because I piss people off everywhere I go, man.
Yeah,
I don't
that's true.
know, man. I'm running out of racetracks to get thrown out of.
Have you actually
So
been thrown out of racetracks?
yeah, yeah.
Besides the one?
No, there's two now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
good for you.
I mean, look, I'm me.
Yeah, it
That's
happens.
and I realize that I'm not everybody's flavor Kool-Aid, and
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. You know what I mean?
that's fine.
So
Life's too short to try and make everyone happy.
exactly. So you rode a MotoGP bike
I
like
did.
that. You are a lucky bitch. Like what the fuck?
Shit, it's so stupid. It's like you know what my biggest regret is? I should have fucking augured that thing in. Like, what were they gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're ever gonna let me ride one again anyway.
Oh my god.
I should have sent it. I should have put that thing right in the bleachers.
If I'm not mistaken, too, like didn't you go faster than Josh did on it?
Yeah, my top speed, like on
Yeah.
my first flying lap, was faster than his. Oh, he's
Oh,
so salty about it.
yeah.
It was like 100% just fear of being shamed. Because it was like, I know there's like data on this, and I could just imagine like those snark guys being like, Liffy, she rolled out. And I was like, watch this. Garçon. Full
Oh
gas. Yeah,
man,
it's
that
gnarly.
I mean, like describe describe to me like what you felt when you rode that thing.
It's just like the whole thing is so like tight. I don't know how else to describe it except that. It's just like everything is tight. Like the gears, like when you're clicking through the gears, like you're like holding it on the stop and it's like wheelie and you shift, wheelie, shift, wheelie, shift. Like fifth gear, like and that was on an 800. Like I can't even freaking imagine on the thousands. Like yeah. And the carbon brakes, like it's funny because they actually let me ride on the carbon brake discs. And Josh made a comment to Hervé. He was like, "Hey, aren't you gonna put like the stainless discs on that? Because they usually do when they do like let people test it." And Hervé just said, "Does she want to ride a MotoGP bike or not?" And Cal Crutchlow, it was his bike. He was like, "Make sure that when you go out, you don't like just hold the lever and wait for the brakes to start because like you'll have no brakes and then you'll just go over the handlebars." He's like, "You them and like go and grab them and like go until they like get enough heat to work." And I remember just being like, "Oh God, I'm gonna die!" Like I was so freaked out, and it was like the garage opened up and there was like people with cameras. I'm like, "Why are you taking pictures of me? This is crazy!" And I like rolled out and like freaking Rossi was on track, and it was like, I isn't this supposed to be like a journalist day? Like there's like real racers out here. Like I was pretty like intimidated, but they let me do like 20 laps.
That's
It was
amazing.
crazy. Yeah, it
Uh,
was nuts.
I mean, I could only imagine most people will never get to do that,
Yeah.
and then there's you.
I it's wild. I like there it doesn't even make sense. Like it's just stupid. I don't know why people let me do cool stuff like that, honestly. It's it's nuts. I mean, it doesn't help that I'm married to Josh, obviously, but
I mean, that does help, right? Like,
yeah.
you know,
But it was like Elena got to like test the Suzuki GP bike, but like she won a national. She
right.
deserved that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't know. It was cool. I'm not mad about it. That's for sure.
I mean, that's an amazing opportunity. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know very many people that would turn the opportunity to ride one of those things down, you
The
know?
crazy thing was I was supposed to ride the Moto 2 bike. I wasn't even supposed to ride the MotoGP bike. And then once we got there, I don't remember what something happened with the Moto 2 bike, and then Hervé was just like, "Stupid, you don't want to ride a Moto 2 bike. Just ride the GP bike." Like
And
that
you're
wasn't even in the plan.
and you're like,
And
okay.
it was funny because my gut reaction actually was like, "Well, I want to ride the Moto 2 bike." Because I'd been racing 250, so I wanted to like see the difference. And it's funny because Hervé, the team owner, was just like, "You don't want to ride that thing. Just ride the big bike." And I was like,
Wow.
okay.
And then the rest is history, I guess, right?
Yeah, it was wild.
So, I mean, the last few years, obviously, you've been kind of busy. When was the last time you
Yeah.
raced a motorbike?
Oh, well, in 2020, I did like a club race.
Okay.
And then before that, I think was a 24-hour at um, the Bull Door.
Because
Yeah.
I do remember you built a 2020 R1 to race, and then,
Yeah, I built it and then COVID happened. I
yeah.
raced it, I think, one time at Buttonwillow, like right when the COVID stuff like got lifted maybe. And then I immediately got pregnant.
Well, there's that.
It was a real bummer. I'm gonna try to fix that this year. I'm gonna race that bike this year.
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
It's really fun still. I still really like it. So
So, when did you transition from being mostly racer to team owner?
in 2017, like 2015 and 2016 were just like really rough for me racing wise. Like I just felt like I'd kind of like hit this weird wall and I like wasn't getting any better and I just like I was a little lost. And I kind of had this idea in 2017 to try and help another up and coming female, and that's when I had Jamie Estadio riding RC Cup on that KTM, and yeah, so that was kind of like the start of it. And I still did a couple races that year, as we know. And then 2018, Josh raced our super sport bike. So I kind of like worked with him. And then I did a couple stock 1,000 races. And then, or no, actually, I take that back. 2018 was Corey Ventura and Junior
Or,
Cup.
yeah.
Yeah, and I did a couple of the stock 1,000 races. 2019, Josh raced Super Sport. I did a couple stock 1,000 races, and then 2020, when I got a job at Altus working with Cam Peterson, that was kind of when, it's like when someone else is paying you, you can't really like grit up and race on a Moto America
I
weekend.
mean,
So
that's so amazing to me that you were the crew. That was like, well, that was your first year technically being official crew chief, right?
I mean, I was for Josh and Corey and
Yeah.
Jamie, but like that was all just because it was just me. There was no one else to do the job, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like being hired on it, and I guess technically I wasn't his crew chief, I was his lead technician. It's a
Uh-huh.
very sensitive subject over there. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it was cool and I was like super flattered actually like when Cam asked me if I wanted to do it. It really meant a lot to me.
I
So,
remember I remember seeing you a couple of times that season, and everything was unicorns and butterflies over there, right?
no. Mm-mm. No. That was that was a wild ride
Yeah.
from start to finish. It was really wild. I even got in a fight that year. I was pregnant and got in a fight that year
I think I remember you saying that.
at Indy.
Yeah.
Mhm. That was cool. Not one of my finest moments. It's
Wow.
funny. Yeah.
That's
Oops.
I mean, we're
Hey,
we're a
we
bunch of
won a
type A
championship.
personalities.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
you
won a
did. I mean,
championship, so it's fine.
and Campy, I mean, he's on
Dude, he's
the
a
attack team
stud.
now. He's on
Yeah,
the
and
attack
he's a
team now.
stud. He's he's such a phenomenal rider. Um like what he did with that bike in 2020, like I don't think anyone outside of probably him and I really probably fully could appreciate. Dude, he killed it. Like it was
I
really cool.
I can remember you guys. I don't want to shit on that team or anything like that.
No, no, like
But
whatever,
I
like
will say
just
that
different
you
resources.
guys, you guys did a lot with what you had, resource
Yeah.
wise, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, obviously like they're doing something right cuz they won another championship, the following year. But yeah, like yeah. I without going too far into it, like I was just really impressed with what Cam did. And it was cool for me. He taught like I got to learn so much because he's so steady. So like you have like different kinds of writers and he was the type of writer that like he'd say okay like it's doing this and I'd say okay I'm gonna make a change. I'm not sure, it's either gonna make it better or it's gonna make it worse, and he'd go out and he'd do like a lap time that was like within a tenth of what he'd just done and he'd say yeah that was better, Like I can do the same lap time more steady now. Like it was never like big fluctuations. It was never like, oh, you put like 2 clicks of rebound in it and like now I can't ride the thing. It was always just like he could always kind of do the same thing. It was just like more or less comfortably, you know?
Hmm.
And I think like that was really good for me, like in my position, like it was a good way for me to like learn because like the consequences of like trying something were like not so big, you know, because he could just figure it out.
I mean, I know he and Richard have been working on some stuff, and Richard says that Jake's going to be in trouble,
Yeah.
right, this year. And you know what? I mean, Jake's still the man, right? Like
Yeah.
Jake's the fucking man. But
Yeah.
you know, at the test at Buttonwillow a couple weeks ago, dude, Campy was only a couple tenths off. You know,
Yeah. I mean, there's
so
just no denying like he's just got like a natural skill. You know what I mean? So, especially when he's feeling confident, get out of the way.
so
Yeah.
you worked with Campy to a championship, and then you
Yeah.
worked with Hunter Dunham.
Yeah, I worked with Hunter Dunham, and that was like, dude, that was awesome. It was so fun.
I
It
like
was
that kid.
like, dude, he's great. His whole family's great. And then just being able to have the opportunity to be under the Westby canopy and like Ed Sullivan was so cool. He like taught me a lot that year. Just as far as like being able to look at data and like doing some stuff with the YAC stuff. That was huge. You know, like I feel like each one of these like little steps I've taken, it's like, okay, like what can I learn here? Like I'm gonna go here to learn something, I'm gonna go there and learn something. And like that year with Hunter was great. And like Hunter's mom would bring me like snow cones in the middle of the day and like just the whole vibe was
Yeah.
bitchin'. You know what I mean? It was exactly what I'd needed after the year before.
And you're under the Westby tent, and at the rounds that I was able to go to, I would talk to you for like 2 seconds, and
Oh,
and Chiquetto would come over and be like,
dude, I
"Get the
forgot
hell out of
about
my pit!"
yeah, I forgot about that.
Right?
Does he still hate you?
No, 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 we're
Oh,
good.
okay. All
No, no,
right.
he was
Yeah.
he was he just a little off that day.
Yeah.
He's had many many bong rips since then, so he's fine,
Chuck and
right?
I talk about it a lot, like the intensity thing. Like
Yeah.
I struggle with it too. You know, I kind of showed my ass this year in Daytona in tech, and it was like, oh, like that's not a good look.
But you know
You
what?
know what
I'll
I
be honest
mean?
with you. I remember Daytona this year because I was there and I was the guy on
Yeah.
the team, because they were busy trying to get shit right. And they're like, okay, Richard's like, okay, go ask him this, that, and whatever. And I'd go and I'd get five different answers over there. And
Yeah. It was a
it was a shit show. Like,
but
let's be real.
regardless, like shouting and cursing
That's not
and
gonna make it
like
better.
no, for sure it's not. So it's funny because like I remember actually Chuck Chiquetto telling me a story. He had like a run in with like another team owner one time and they had like a big fight and he was telling me like I was seeing red. Like literally I was seeing red. And I remember like interrupting him and being like, "Wait, were you like literally seeing red?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I think that means you're about to have a stroke, bro."
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? And it was
that dude,
like
that dude worries me sometimes,
yeah,
man.
but no, it was like a big turning point for Chuck. I remember he like afterwards he was like, "Well, I gotta get my shit together." Like,
Yeah,
and that was like Daytona for me. I was like, "Okay, I look like an idiot." Like, even if you're right, if you're screaming, like, and people can see that they've gotten under your skin, you've lost, right? So like that, and it didn't get me the results I wanted, and it was just awful. And I really had to like reevaluate. And it's super funny because I basically just did my best to avoid putting myself in situations like that again. So like the whole rest of the season, poor Evan. I was like, Evan, I'm gonna need you to go down to tech and ask a question. I'm not going there. I literally got thrown out of tech at Daytona. It was bad.
you know what? Like I said, they were bad too. So, I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lay 100% of that on you, but
That's
I get what
kind.
you're saying. I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. I mean,
Yeah.
it was really frustrating. A lot of the
Yeah.
things were really frustrating. I mean, I
Yeah.
got yelled at Daytona by Richard, so that was
Oof.
fun. Yeah, because I guess
That's scary.
they changed the schedule for the morning warm up
Yeah.
on Saturday, and I didn't get the memo. So I showed up the same time I did day four, and Richard's like, "Where the hell?"
You're late.
Yeah, you're late. And I'm like,
Oh,
thanks for the heads up, dude. Like, I'm on time,
yeah.
bro. You guys are early.
Yeah, but like that's the kind of thing, right? Like you didn't know
Yeah,
that the schedule had changed
yeah,
because why would you,
yeah.
right?
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's I guess I'll be returning fire extinguisher.
Oh, that's
Watch
awesome.
out.
Well,
Um,
I hope to see you guys on the podium when my man's wins it.
oh wow, that's super confident.
Just saying.
I know Camp P lost it by 007 this year, so we're
Yeah.
looking to get that 007 back. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But your old man, like he fucking rips still. I
I
mean,
know he does. I mean, the thing with Daytona, we all know, is like this: you just need the skill to get yourself to the last lap, and then you need to be lucky,
yeah.
right? Like, it's not really a whole lot you can do about it at that point. So, yeah,
So, going back to your racing thing, I mean, I know this year you had Corey Ventura on the R7, right?
yeah,
And that's the Twins Cup, so that's like a builder's class, right? So, like,
dude,
what do you do to that thing to make it like,
everything.
what do you do to the R7 to make it fast?
All the things. Dude, it's like a super bike. I mean, the percentage of power gain that we get out of them is more than you get on a super bike. So we can do like rods, pistons, cams. Like it's totally open. Like do what you want.
Dude, it sounds more Superbike than Superbike does.
Yeah, no, it is. Like for sure, the rules are more open. Like it's bananas, dude. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Like it's crazy. And then even with like the chassis, we can use adjustable clamps. We've got the like forks off of an R6 with market wheel. Like a lot of really cool stuff you can do on it. So it's
I mean,
it's wild.
I know that you guys were at my track day before the season started, and one of my customers like kind of wiped out Corey, and then blamed Corey for it. So I was like, what? So I mean,
Dude.
that was the first one, right? That was the first one. You got the first one out of the way
That
before the
was
season
like this,
started.
like, if I would have had any idea, like, what an omen that would have been for my season. Like, for our listeners here, Corey was going into, what's that turn called?
The off ramp,
The
or no,
off ramp.
yeah,
And this dude hit him so hard, dead on in the back of the bike, that it cocked the whole wheel, like, sideways in the swing
swing arm.
arm. And old boy rode off of E4R. Corey
Yeah, he
wrote it
did.
out because he's a champ. But yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, I remember he rode in with the tail section all smashed, and you're like, "What the fuck did you do to my motorcycle?"
I no, my first thought was like, why is there so much slack in the chain? And it was because like the whole wheel was like turned sideways. Like it was so confusing. And when also like, the guy wanted to fight
Oh,
Corey.
I'm being reminded that it was actually cotton corners, not the off ramp. Thanks for that, Robert Martinez.
Was it?
Yeah, I guess it
I
was
think he's
turn three.
wrong.
I thought it was turn two, man. I
No, it
thought,
was turn
yeah,
two. It was turn two. Because I
yeah.
remember specifically, this is before I decided to be a more calm person. It was like a month before. I do remember screaming at that
Well,
guy
you had
that
a
if he
one-way
had,
conversation.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just like I'm like 5'5" chick puffing up her chest at a full grown man.
Wow.
It must have looked so stupid.
And what's funny is later on, when he didn't get anywhere with you, he went and tried to blame it on Declan. I was like,
Oh,
what?
yeah. So funny. Why not?
I mean, same color bike. I mean, completely
Like,
different
yeah,
bike, but
dude.
completely different leathers, completely different rider. But hey,
Dude, unreal. And then yeah, and then he tried to do the insurance thing, which wasn't really cool.
yeah, that was fun. I
Yeah.
helped put a kibosh to that.
Yeah, we
Um,
appreciate that.
but yeah, so okay, so let me ask you this. That was the first one. Like, how many times did you have to completely rebuild that R7 this year?
uh I mean, I only ever had to change the frame once.
You only had to change the frame once.
Actually, I'm telling you a lie. I did it twice because we thought we were having some handling stuff, and I wanted to make sure that that our subframe or our swing arm and the swing arm pivot like hadn't been bent when that guy hit us,
Oh,
because we were having these problems, and I was like, right before Laguna, actually, I swapped frames because I was like, maybe the frame's like not straight. I don't know. So I did a frame swap, and yeah, and then a couple. I really swapped the frame.
nice.
big. That was a full rebuild from the ground up. Like start over.
So you're a
It was
privateer
big.
team owner. Like, I mean, for the average listener, like average person that is thinking about doing this, like, what does it cost one to do a season with Moto America Twins Cup?
Minimum $100,000.
Okay.
I mean, you could do it cheaper, but you won't be able to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's like my thing. You'll always have people that'll be like, "Well, I could do it for less than that," but well, yeah, you could, I
Yeah.
guess. You know, like, but
How many DNFs do you get for spending less than that?
it's
Right.
not. It's not even like that. It's just like, what's the R7 make stock? You probably know better than I do, horsepower
60
wise.
something, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
we're almost at 100 once the engine's built.
yeah.
You know, so you can't show up without that. And that's expensive to get to. Like, yeah.
I kind of wanted to get your take too. Like, how do you think that the R6 compares with the 660 thing that it races with mostly? Because I think the SV is kind of mostly out now, right? Or is
Oh
it?
yeah. Oh, you mean the R7? Yeah, there's a couple people racing the SV still, but not really. Um, it's hard because I've never like put my hands on one of those other bikes, but I feel like they maybe don't have to do as much work to get to the amount of power that we need to do, but and they have a little bit more torque than us currently. So like that's
Really?
for sure like what we're working on. Yeah, they definitely have a little more torque than we do, but from what I hear, the chassis on the R7 is better, you know?
Hmm. I mean, I was just like curious, what you see from the sidelines or whatever.
Yeah, like
you're right there on the wall. I mean, they look like they have
yeah.
comparable lap times and top speeds.
Yeah, the Yamaha's wild. Like, I feel like it's like across the board for Yamahas. Like, once you get the thing up on top, it's pretty good, you know? Like, even the R6 in the next gen class, like, once you get the thing up on top, it's fine. It's just that, like, grunt off the corner, maybe. So sometimes you got to be a little smarter with the way you're racing or what you're doing, or you got to capitalize on having a better chassis than everyone else. Um, I'm curious to see they're going to open up rods for the Aprilia next year. So they're going to let the Aprilia use aftermarket rods next year. So I'll be curious to see when they're spinning the engine faster if that's going to create a headache for us or not.
Well, I mean, it sounds like, based on those things, it seems like their reliability seems a bit sus
Well,
at
that's the
times.
thing is like with the stock rods, I think they can't spin them too fast because they
Mm,
break.
okay.
So if they have aftermarket ones that are more robust and they can spin them up, then I don't know. I'll be curious to see what happens. But we've got Evan at Evan Steel Performance building our engines this year, and I have full confidence in him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he does a good job, you know.
dude, he's gnarly. Yeah, he's a
I mean,
good dude.
they're
So
like old Lee Cycle dudes from San Diego from back in the day,
I
right?
know, right? Yeah, dude, we're just hood rats doing hood rat things.
I know, right? Like I saw Phil. I saw Phil
Yeah,
at Allison
it's
at the Dunlop thing, and I was
I
like,
love it.
"Wow, dude! I haven't
It,
seen like I
yeah,
mean I remember racing with that dude 20 years ago at CCS in Buttonwillow."
totally. Yeah, it's so
So
rad. Yeah, and actually, like this year, we're switching electronics. We're gonna switch to Motec this year. So like
oh,
that's another thing. Yeah, like we've been running the A Racer stuff, and it was pretty good. Like I mean, I don't have like big complaint on it, but just trying to like find every little bit we can. So like that's how serious people are taking the
I
Twins
know,
Cup.
like the fifty thousand
Like.
dollar Twins Cup bike, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's like,
and
a lot of
it's
people
like
think of that class as like a budget class, but that is not a budget class,
no,
dude.
no, no. Like if you're trying to save money, for sure go race stock thousand. Like
Right.
like that's your class because it is not the Twins Cup.
Yeah, I'm just kind of glancing at the comments here. Martinez is saying the 660s leak marinara for no reason at all.
Yeah, that dude has had some terrible luck. Like I had, I had an RSV4 once. All I'm gonna say is like, you want the supermodel girlfriend, you're gonna have the supermodel drama, right?
There you go. And so,
That's
like,
all.
well, I mean, that's not even the supermodel, right? Like, that's the supermodel's little sister. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
like dressed up in Big Sister's clothes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
for sure. Yeah. It's like, yeah. I don't know. I just obviously my family bleeds blue, right? Like we're, you know,
Oh,
big
100%.
big fans.
You guys, you guys, you guys drink the Yamaha Kool-Aid big
For
time.
sure we do. Yeah, it's fine. But I mean, honestly, like, dude, it's a tuning fork brand for a reason. Like, they make nice shit. Like, stuff's nice. Very rarely do you get something and go, well, this thing sort of sucks, you know?
Right. Right.
Even when it's a budget bike like the R7, like, it's cool, man. It's a
Yeah, I
cool
mean,
bike.
I have a story that I tell about the R7, because I was like, man, like on paper, just I don't know, dude. And then
Yeah.
and then the marketing dudes brought one out to Laguna Seca, and they're like, here, fucking ride it. I go and ride it, and the first time going into turn two, I'm like pancake on my knee. I'm
Yeah.
like, holy shit, this
I
thing's
love
actually
it.
good. It's a little slow. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a little
We
slow.
can fix that.
Yeah, but
You guys are sponsored by Yoshimura, aren't you?
yes, we are. Yes, we
Throw a
are.
pipe on that thing.
Yeah, I mean, my guy Jimmy just bought one of mine, and yeah, he's got a pipe for it already, and body
Yeah.
work, and he's doing the
Yeah.
thing. I guess he's ditching the R3 and racing the R7 next year. I'm like,
Oh,
bro,
dude, a thousand times yes.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, bro, you were kind of too big for the R3 anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, fair.
Chili raced an R3 this year too, which is really funny.
I was like talking to someone about it recently. I raced an R3. You asked when I last raced. I did an endurance race at Pittsburgh this year on an R. God, I hate little bikes.
Me
I hate
too.
them.
I like
I
big
just want to ride.
bikes.
Yeah, because I'm not that fast, so I want a fast bike to like make me look better than I am.
Yeah, I have different reasons. I just think that the big bike just is more
Okay.
exciting. It's like
Yeah.
shit's about to go down, right? And
Yeah,
on a
and you
little
don't have
bike,
to like override it to go fast.
on
Like
a
on
little
an
bike, I'm just
R3.
like I don't button willow straight away. I'm like,
Yeah.
right on the big bike, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, I'm not
like, yeah,
ready.
like oh my god, it's
Yeah.
scary. Like,
Yeah. No, I agree with you. The R1 is.
yeah, super fun. So
Yeah.
yeah, I got some comments in here. Like Donovan Piper says, as a privateer, is it more reasonable, do you think, to race in twins Supersport Stock 1000 for one budget, and second for being a grown ass man who isn't light?
Stock
You,
1000 all the way.
yeah, Stock
Yeah, I
1000.
mean the thing with stock 1000 is like you just can't spend so much money. You just can't because you're not allowed to do anything to the bike. So you're gonna save money there, and now this year it's less races, so you'll save some money there, and you're on 1000. So being a full grown human will be like less of an issue, and it is pretty stacked at the front, but you don't have like axe murderers all the way back to 20th. So
Right.
in
That's
my
fair.
opinion.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
And it's a
That's
cool
fair.
class. I think it's cool. And they've got that cool Superbike Cup stuff going. So if you feel like you're up to it, you can grade up with the Superbike class as well. I think it's a cool
I
class.
mean, it's kind of like a good way to get your toes wet in Superbike, right? Doing that Superbike Cup
Yeah.
thing. I
Yeah,
mean,
like
that's
see if you're up to snuff, right? And be like, oh, like man, I did good. Like imagine if I had a swing arm and an engine
You'd
and
still do the same lap
electronics,
times, probably.
and I mortgaged my house, and I
Right. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it's not a whole lot different from what used to happen, back in the day when superbikes were 750s, right? They used to have
absolutely.
the 750 super stock, and those guys would run in super like most of the field was super
Yeah.
stock 1000 or 750 guys. So,
Josh and I talk about that a lot. It used to be so common for people to run two classes back then,
yeah.
you
I
know?
mean, even like the factory dudes sometimes would have a
Yeah.
600 and the superbike, and they'd race
Yeah.
both. I think the only one, I mean, Honda was notorious for having it, and
Yeah.
Yamaha as well. But then Suzuki, pretty much Yates and Rapper would do the 600 and the big bike, and then Matt
Aladdin was
Aladdin
like, not a,
superbike
no, I'm not
only.
doing
There was
that.
only a few
Yeah.
guys that were like superbike only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's cool. Back when the men were men
Oh
or
god
whatever.
damn it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, also, think about it too. Like back then, you know, teams
They were
were
single races is the other
man.
thing. They
Yeah.
weren't all double headers like they are
Right.
now.
And back then too, I mean, think about it. Like all those teams were sponsored by different tire companies and stuff. It wasn't like
Yeah.
a control thing where people had to buy them.
Yeah.
But what do you
And the
like as
factories were really involved as well. So
like
they were pretty well funded.
yeah, I mean as a privateer, like I mean, I've got Richard's answer on this, but like, what do you think your biggest expense is for a season? I mean, Richard always says it's the travel.
Yeah, I mean like well, I was gonna say like personnel, but yeah, travel. Here's the thing, like I could spend a bunch of money on my motorcycle and at the end of the year I can sell it and get some of that back, but
Right,
I can't sell Evan at the end of the year, you know? So yeah, like paying our crew like their wages and then getting dude like flying people, are you kidding me right now? Airfare is insane.
right.
Like it's bananas. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard.
Hopefully that'll turn around at some point. But yeah,
Yeah.
got to use those miles, right?
Yeah, I don't have any of those. I don't get to fly anymore.
Well, I mean, yeah, you've been for the last couple of years you've been traveling the country in a toy hauler.
Yeah. We
So
got a suite.
you got the whole brood. You got a fifth wheel one now, but like you got the
Yeah.
whole brood with you. Like how I want to ask this. Like how the fuck do you do it? Like you're the team owner, you're team manager, crew chief, mom, like wife. Like how do you manage all that living in a toy hauler all year? Like,
Number one, I do a lot of things like very mediocre. Um, Number two, I have like a lot of help. Like, okay, the fifth wheel, it's the only way that our life makes sense. So we actually are ambassadors for Heartland. So they hooked us up with that Road Warrior. Um, Dude, you can't be traveling back kids. Like it's just not possible. And Josh and I don't have family that lives close, so it's not like we're gonna like leave our kids behind. So being able to like head out on the road, and we've got Matilde, our au pair, who's like amazing and she's obsessed with racing. So she's like a great part of our family. She helps with the kids and we just like made a trip of it. Like last year we went to Yellowstone, we went to Zion, went to Gettysburg. Like, I mean, we went mountain biking at like all the best ski resorts. Like, we just make the best of it, make a great trip out of it, and hope your house doesn't burn down when you're gone.
so I've got a lot of notes here. I mean, we've kind of blown through a lot of my stuff, but it's like, but I'm like, okay. So over the years, like, what do you think? What do you think is who's your favorite writer that you've worked with? I mean, I'm guessing
Okay,
it's P, but like aside
I'm
from your
not gonna
man,
include I'm not gonna include Josh because like that's just like whatever.
yeah.
And I don't even feel like I really worked with him. I feel like he was like coaching me into solutions, so he doesn't count. So yeah, for sure, Cam. Like it was, and I say that knowing it was like honestly, like racing wise, like at the time, like dude, I was crying myself to sleep most nights that year. Like it was so hard. Like it was such a hard season, but. Dude, like Cam just showed up and did the business. And he like trusted me. Like I don't even know why. Like I don't know. Like I was pretty green, you know what I mean? And like there was a point where I made a really big mistake and could have really hurt him. And I was like, afterwards, he's like, we need to talk. And I was like, yeah, I know. Like, I'll pack my shit and go. Like, I'm out of here. And he was like, no, like, if you leave, I leave. Like, we're in this together. And it was like, it was pretty huge for me. Like, it was wild. And like, the fact that he put so much faith in me, like, really gave me the confidence to, like, keep doing what I'm doing and, like, whatever. All
So
that shit.
so who's your
Plus,
least
he's
favorite?
fast.
Who's your least favorite?
Stop it.
Come
Not
on.
doing that.
Come
Nope,
on,
nope,
dude.
not happening. Not happening. They're all great. We love them all.
Okay, so what's your least favorite motorcycle you worked with? I'm guessing it's the 390,
Oh,
but
dude, that KTM was the effing worst. Like,
yeah.
I hated it.
I
And
guess
granted, I
it.
was also like less experienced than I am now, but like, Jesus Christ, do you know how many Torx head bolts are on those things? Why? Like,
Nope.
why? Yeah, I like yeeted those out of there, like put like proper hardware on it, but like, yeah, they just sucked. I hated it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the head gasket, right? I mean, like
Dude, we
constantly,
never
or
actually had a head gasket go
what?
on ours. No, I know. Everybody talks about that. It never happened to us. Probably because we weren't fucking cheating like everybody else.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
by
Did
the
I
way,
say that out loud?
by the way, Chili says that your least favorite writer has probably got to be me. But you never
You've
worked with
never,
me,
I've
so
never worked with you.
no.
Maybe we should do that for a weekend.
We should. We should. That'd be
Yeah.
funny.
Maybe you should come do a round of Twins Cup.
I don't think so, man. I'm a Pirelli guy, dude. I don't run Dunlops.
Lame.
And also, you know what? Like I've had this discussion with you before. Like I'm a club racer guy. I'm a grassroots guy. Like I'm
Yeah.
totally fine with being
All
that, you
right.
know.
I'll tell you what. Let's go do an endurance race on the R7.
Okay. Say
Yeah.
when. Say when.
Let's do it. All right. Let's make that happen.
Okay, so I've got
Okay.
some fan stuff here. Let's see. Yeah. Robert says, will you teach somebody how to go fast even though they ride an Aprilia?
Yeah, of course, if I can. He's probably faster than me now.
No, he's not. Okay, and then I think it's Canfield, but he asks
Oh
like,
no.
how did you end up riding a Ninja 650 in Twins Cup at Sears Point in 18?
Oh, that's rude. Um,
Really?
it was like, do you know? So what happened?
Go ahead, man. Throw it out.
I had blown up my R1 and couldn't get it fixed in time or something, and I was bummed that I wasn't gonna race. And Nicole Cox was like, "Do you want to race my bike?" And I was like, "F yes, I always want to race." And then I didn't. I didn't want to race that bike so much.
Wow.
It just wasn't for me. I didn't know what to do on that thing. I was just lost. And then you know what? Danny Diaz rode that same bike like a month later and put it on the podium at Laguna. So it had nothing to do with the bike. It was just me. I just sucked. I'd
Wow.
been riding an R1. I was spoiled. You know what I mean? Like I was just like used to like running in the corner, park it, turn it, full gas, rely on electronics to keep you from dying. Rinse, repeat, you know?
I mean, I know that you and I shared a lot of the same notes from the latest R1, right? You know,
Yeah.
I did that electronics thing with Stamboli about it, and you know,
Yeah.
it's funny, you know, I still get racers telling me that they watch that YouTube to like refreshen up on how to use it,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
It's so
wow,
funny because like with Hunter, when I worked with Hunter, that was like 90% of my job was just like going in the YC and like making different ETV maps like for him.
yes,
And it's so funny because like I'll go out to a track day and like I've just got like my bike like full ripper. Like you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
full open, right? And I'm like, this thing's trying to kill me. I'm gonna die. Like it's like a train wreck around the whole racetrack. And I like start feeling really down on myself. And then I remind myself, like with Hunter, like no joke, like some of the best work he ever did, we had that thing muted down like less than like the rain map that comes
oh yeah.
standard in it. You
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I have mine choked. I say choke the shit out of it,
Yeah.
especially in first and second gear for sure, and then a
Yeah.
little bit less in third, and you know, I kind of open
Yeah.
it up and beyond that. But yeah, I mean, it totally makes
Yeah.
the thing rideable. Things are
Yeah.
unrideable without that anymore. Like,
Yeah. I had it actually like happen. Like I was at Utah and I was like I raced or I was in practice or whatever and Ed Sullivan and Josh Alverson were helping me and they're like just let us try this map and I was like okay fine and like rode and I came out that sucks super slow I hate it put it back and they're like yeah you went 2 seconds a lot faster so we're not changing it.
yeah, yeah, you just
You
keep
know.
going that direction, right?
Yeah, it's like if you
Yeah.
can't get the throttle open, what difference does it make, you know?
Right, right.
So,
I mean, I did spend around this year working with Will Morton, and
mm-hmm.
dude, that like we spent all the whole time working on that. Like, okay,
Yeah.
dude, I want to see you stick the thing at the apex. Like, if you're not sticking the thing at the apex,
Yeah.
yeah,
We're gonna take more out of it.
the three letter F word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait. Yeah. Oh. Oh, it's a bad one.
yeah,
Fun. You're a
yeah.
fun
Fun,
guy.
fun. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, Chuck Chiquetto says it all the time, right? You're gay for it, you know, like that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, sort of
Yeah,
like
for
that, but
sure.
like
Yeah.
not that word, the other one.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so Joe H says, what was the learning curve for new bike development? You know, because you guys were kind of developing our seventh brand new bike. Like,
It wasn't even like a learning curve. It was just like a brick wall that I ran into repeatedly, and it hurt so much. Like, it was so hard. Like, honestly, like, so many things this past season. And that's my homie Joe, by the way, who makes all the graphics for our bikes,
Oh,
GHD
okay.
Designs. He's the one who keeps our bikes looking great.
Okay.
Um, it was really difficult, dude. Like, we had something happen, like, right before Daytona. I ended up having to put our Daytona engine together myself. Like, no joke. Like, I'm in the workshop, like, I'm FaceTiming my buddy Gene Burcham, and I'm, like, crying, like, trying to put a transmission in a motorcycle, you know? So it was, like, a lot of stuff that I didn't know how to do, and I had to, like, learn it really, really fast. And a lot of it did it wrong the first time
Wow.
and second time.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky when I put my bike together last year, and
Yeah.
I literally built the thing with Richard.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, but, like, Richard was, like, standing there and was like,
yeah. No, no,
yeah.
like he was like looking at me, with his reading glasses. Anytime I would anytime I would question, he would like look at me
Yeah.
over the top of his readers and like,
Uh,
it was amazing and I will never forget it, but I don't
it
ever
gives
want to
me
do that again.
anxiety.
I don't
Yeah.
ever want to touch like, you know what, man? I just want to ride the fucking thing. I don't want to work on them. Like that's
Yeah.
dumb.
No, I mean, yeah, it's, I agree to some, but the problem is, like, you have life skills that can earn you a paycheck besides that.
You know what? You do too. You just don't use them. Aren't you like
No.
a CPA or something?
No, I'm not a CPA. I have a degree in accounting, but I've hit my head far too many times since then. I don't remember how to do any of those things. Obviously, I'm racing motorcycles.
You're clearly not good at making financial decisions because you're racing
No.
motorcycles.
Yeah, exactly. I'm, like, pretty much the worst person. Like, you would not want me in charge of your money in any way,
Oh my
shape, or
God.
form. Yeah. No, I mean, it was, like, a lot of stuff like that, and then, like, also, like, you start changing the front end on the motorcycle, and, like, all the geometry starts changing, and you're staring at motospec until everything's just, like, swirling in front of your eyes. And um yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. It's cool though. I mean, I'm definitely learning a lot. So, um it was
So
cool, but I don't think I knew what I was getting into.
no?
No, I think I was very overconfident going into last season.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
look, Corey Ventura is a good rider, right? I
Great
mean,
writer.
I mean,
Yeah.
he had just come off the AFM number one plate, right? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
goes right to nationals again. And I mean, when he was healthy, he did great, right? I mean,
Yeah, for sure. I did him dirty at Daytona. We had two mechanical DNFs, so that was bad. And, like, those are those, like, growing pains that I was telling you about. So, like, that's really hard, and I felt awful. But then after that, he had a big crash riding motocross, and it was a couple of races before he was really whole again.
yeah. So I got one more question right now. Pinky, this person. How did you feel once Josh had a broken leg?
Relieved, um, because, like, all I heard, I was working on a motorcycle, and Jess, who's the wife of the guy who runs Squid Hunter, called me, and she just said Josh just had a big crash and he hasn't gotten up, and then she hung up.
You're like,
And
gee, thanks, bitch.
I went, I was like, okay, like, I'm sure it's fine. And I, like, calmly walked from where I was pitted all the way down to pit lane, and it was just fucking dead silent on pit lane.
Oh
And it
man.
was like, okay, and I'm, like, looking around, and it was like a ghost town. Like, there was, like, tumbleweed blowing down pit lane or something. I couldn't even find anyone. I finally found an official, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, we're not sure, like, he wasn't getting up, and just, like, no one was telling me anything. And I was, like, just about to be like, because I couldn't see, like, where he was like on the exit of, like, turn 2 3 area, and so it was, like, physically not that far from where I was at start finish. And I was, like, just about to be like the hysterical wife. Like, I was like, you're gonna need to tell me something, or I am going there. Like, I'm gonna go to there if you don't tell me something. And finally, he was like, I think he's got a broken ankle. And I was like, praise God, I can deal with a broken ankle,
Nice.
Like, and then when I saw the video afterwards, and, like, yeah, I'm glad I wasn't watching when that happened, because that actually happened, like, right before we got married. He had a huge crash at Laguna. Somebody bumped him off the track, and like the camera was on him, and he was just like face down in the gravel, and
Oh,
the
geez.
camera just like cut away, and it's like, you know, like broken limbs we can live with, but I need my hubby. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. Thanks for that question, Pinky.
Yeah, sorry, that was like dark.
Okay, so like, I mean, before I get back to some more, I got some Instagram and Facebook comments, but like, I wanted to ask you like what your take is on like how the rules are going. I mean, we had a chat a few years ago about the superbike rules, and you know, obviously there's the next gen super sport and obviously Twins Cup. Like, give me your like, what do you think of superbike? You know, the new rules, they're allowing the neutral lockout thing. Like, they're basically mirroring World Superbike to some extent, right?
Yeah, I'm all for like mirroring like the World Superbike rules. Like I think that's good in a lot of ways, especially when you have a team like, Attack that maybe is going to want to go do a couple of those rounds. Um yeah, and like the neutral lockout, like what like that's basically like a safety thing, right? So, um yeah, I could be honest with you, I don't follow the Superbike rules super closely right now because they're not really relevant to me.
Yeah.
But
But
you
you got the
know,
memo. You saw that.
yeah, I mean that stuff's fine. Like I think they're doing a really good job right now, honestly, in Super Sport with the next gen and in Twins with like creating parity. Like that's a job I would never want. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
good God, I would not want to do that because you're
I,
gonna piss everybody off.
I mean, Teague's hit me up, and you know we're trying to work a deal to like have a meeting with him to hear him out. But he kind of wants us to figure out a way to do the next gen thing in the 600 class
Yeah,
somehow. And you know, I
that's
think we
gonna
could.
be so tricky.
Yeah,
But like
like, and
I
I asked him, I was like, how does a club like? Don't you guys have like that thing to plug in to take people's power away? Like, we don't have that, dude. Like,
Yeah, it's hard because like yeah, you need to be able to verify people are running the maps that they're supposed to be running, and it'd be pretty easy for people to cheat unless you guys had a really good program like in
right,
place to like make sure. But at the same time, like I think that it would be good because like you guys are the pipeline, right? Like clubs
right,
like CRA, like that's the pipeline to Moto America, and people need the opportunity to a like race the equipment that they plan to eventually race when they move up, or
right.
say they're a privateer who just does a couple rounds to be able to race between rounds. Like that's massive, you
Well,
know.
also the reality is the 600s are not made anymore, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a dying
I mean,
breed, isn't it?
Suzuki still kind of has one, kind of, but like it's the
Yeah.
same bike from way back, right? And the
Yeah.
R6, they stopped making that in 2020. So, I mean, the further
Yeah.
we get away
Hey,
from
there's one
that,
at Ride Now Power Sports right now, just so you know, in Oceanside.
oh, oh,
One
is
of the
that
white
right?
bikes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just
Just
a heads
saying.
up, everybody in Oceanside looking for an R6 so they can go
Dude,
racing.
I'm just saying, people want them. I always hear people say, I can't find them anymore. There's a
Yeah.
brand new one
Well, I
sitting on the
mean,
showroom floor.
I know it seems like Bryce Prince has a bunch of them somehow, right? Like that dude
Yeah.
always has something. He's got R1 shit too. Like
Yeah.
I just got a bunch of shit from him recently.
Yeah. We've got a new R6 down in our garage, too. Josh just got one because why not?
Was that the one? You know, I'm gonna just start talking about that in a minute. But like, was that the one that Kayla was riding at Buttonwillow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me a little about Kayla. Like Kayla's your new rider, and
Aiden.
Aiden. Yeah. So
Yeah.
how'd that go to? Aiden's gonna ride the
Junior
R
Cup.
three, right?
Yeah, he's gonna
Okay.
ride the R3. Yeah, it's funny because man, by about halfway through the season, I was like putting in job applications at Starbucks and stuff because I
Shut
was
up.
like, no, dude. Like I'm only saying that half joking, but like literally this season to finish the season, I was like selling all my shit, like selling my belongings so that we could finish the season out because things did not go to plan.
No.
So yeah, it was just a few different things happened, and then we cannibalized a few motorcycles, and whatever. It is what it is. It's racing, and we're gonna finish the season either way. So it was pretty rough, and I was sad about that. But right before New Jersey had a sponsor approach me, and it's funny because I'd been saying, "Man, I wish I could work with Kayla. Like that'd be amazing. Like
Yeah.
she's the real deal, you know." And had a sponsor approach me and say, "Hey, we want to get behind you, but you got to get Kayla on your team. And I was like,
Done.
yeah.
Right? Roll up
So,
the sleeves and get
dude,
it
I
done,
was
right?
like, yeah, seriously. And I mean, I was, she was in demand. There's like a lot of people in the paddock, obviously, that were interested in her. So I was really flattered that, her and her dad trusted me and Aiden and his family as well. So I'm pumped. And I don't know if you've gotten to talk to Kayla much,
I
but
have.
she's great.
That girl is switched on, dude. Like I
Dude,
was so
yeah,
impressed with her. Like I
yeah,
got to sit there. I introduced her to Richard and Jake, and she already knew Jake, but I introduced her to
yeah,
the rest of the team, and she sat there. I got to listen in on her and Jake's conversation, and I was just like, oh my God, this girl! I can't believe she's like 15 or 16,
yeah,
right? Like the
yeah.
shit that was coming out of her mouth. I was like, how? Like, are you sure you're not like 25? Like,
Yeah, she
you know?
communicates really well.
Yeah.
And just watching her on track, like her race IQ is amazing,
She, at Portugal, she was absolutely ruining those other kids. And
Yeah.
there was a part where, the side like people's weight in that particular class
Mhm.
meant something. And they
Yeah.
didn't really do anything to kind of curb that or equalize that
Yeah.
at all. And so she was kind of getting murdered on the straights, but man,
Uh
like she would go and just dominate them and come out and lead
yeah.
the second race. Like she led most of the race,
Yeah.
um, and yeah,
Her
she's
racecraft is like next level and like
yeah,
a lot of that is stuff you can't teach that. Like
yeah,
so it's cool. I'm
yeah.
really
It's
excited to see what she'll do.
yeah. I mean, I keep saying it. I'm predicting that there's a lot of hurt feelings coming to that class this year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be for sure like a little bit of a learning curve. The bike is just so much more adjustable than a junior cup bike, but
Okay.
I think she's gonna kill it. She's gonna do great. So
I
yeah,
mean,
we got her.
like, would you like to see her? Like, what do you think her path is going to be?
Yeah,
Do
see,
you
I
think
don't
she's going to be
know.
like a superbike rider? Like, is she going to be like the,
Yeah,
you
why
know?
not? I mean, I think if she wants to be, she will. You know what I mean? Um,
I mean, she was
obviously,
kind
I
of
want to
half
see her in the.
joking. She was kind of half jokingly interviewing for Richard. She's like,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe one day. He's like, yeah, maybe.
yeah. I think Richard hates having kids ride for him, right? You have to ask
No,
him
I
about
don't.
that. No,
I
ask him
think
about it sometime.
I I think he's got a problem with certain kids that he's worked with over the years.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
you
Josh
know,
told me some stories that he
yeah,
maybe didn't love.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, it just depends, right? I mean,
yeah,
he's worked with a lot, so I don't want to
yeah,
say too many names, but like,
yeah.
so
There've been a few.
I think he has a problem with Australians, right?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. That could
So,
be it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think getting back to Kayla, like honestly, I could see it going a couple different ways. I could see her, just like doing it like through 600 up to Superbike maybe, or Moto 2 would be a logical jump. It just, I feel like as an American going into Moto 2, it's a scary proposition. You just you don't know what you're gonna get. you
Wow.
know?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give the obligatory Gil Ramos question. He asks if you think that Hawk could change his clutch on his R6 this weekend.
No, you don't want him to. For sure. He'd do it with a hammer.
Well, I mean, it is Gil, so that might be an
Yes,
improvement, right?
it might work. Yeah. I Hawk right now is in a phase for sure where he could take or leave motorcycles. He's kind of
Like,
like,
so you're not having plans of being a racer mom?
I can't afford to be a racer mom, but no, I think like right now it's just like they're so available to him that there's no
There's no way
like
around it.
appeal. Yeah, he's
No?
just like, I mean, like if I'm like, hey, do you want to go ride? It's like, yeah, but it's not like he won't ride anywhere except at our house, and he rips when he does ride. Like he's got incredible balance. Like he'll go like back his little PW in. Well, he did until someone stole it, but yeah, someone stole his bike, so that was cool.
Wow. Yeah,
Um,
that's always fun.
out of our pickup truck at the hospital.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awful.
so terrible. But yeah, no, he rides really good, but he's just kind of like he wouldn't usually come up with it on his own. Very rarely on his own will he be like, "Hey, let's go ride." And that's cool
Hmm.
too. I want him to ride if he loves it, and if he doesn't, then I want him to find what he does love. I think that Bretley, I think my daughter might be the ripper in the family. She's super
Well,
funny. Every time she sees a motorcycle, she's like, she just points at
okay.
herself, like, me,
Nice.
take me, I want to go.
Well,
So,
that she is your kid, so there you go.
yeah.
Right? Like, would you
Yeah.
expect anything less? I mean,
No, no.
all right. So
It's
I've got some social media questions. Like Chris Turlock had a bunch of questions. We've already answered all of them except the last one.
okay.
Like what's your favorite racetrack and what was Suzuki like at night? What's your favorite? And then the last one is what's it feel like to be a fucking rock star?
I don't
I'm like
know.
Ron Burgundy over here. I'll ask anything. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's good to be a gangster. I don't know. Uh, I'm just waiting for someone to find out that I'm not supposed to get to do all this cool shit. And you know what I mean? Like, pretty lucky. I just very aware of how lucky I am.
Wow. And then Miriam Brown has a couple questions. Number one, will you be at Femwala? And number two, what's the most crucial element of your fitness regimen?
Regime.
Regimen.
Um, I do plan to go to Femwala, and when I am fit, which I am currently not, only a lot of cycling and motor, even going to the gym. So bicycle,
There you
motocross.
bicycle, motocross. Okay.
Hmm.
I mean, do you guys spend a lot of time on the little bikes at the house or
When there's people here, we do. Yeah, but that's not really like fitness. That's more like racecraft and just fun. But it's like riding the TTRs, and dude, that's like one of my favorite things to do, but it's no fun if you don't have friends to come do it with you. Like I don't ever just go like rip laps by myself cuz why? It's only fun if you can knock someone else down.
yeah, I'd imagine that's why you guys keep inviting me over, but I'm always broken.
Yeah, I know, right? Are you healed? Oh,
I
you're
mean,
not healed now. Shit.
no, dude, MRI tomorrow.
Yeah,
MRI
I
tomorrow
know.
on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Um, what's your, you've been at this for a long time. You've got your tricky leg, and I know that's not a strut.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, you've had quite a few hardware installations over the years, yeah?
um the only hardware I have is in my leg. It's
In
just
the
a
leg?
lot of it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just a big piece of it. Yeah, I lost the end of my little finger, and
yeah. I
then
mean,
yeah, you got one of those.
yeah.
Yeah,
The thumbs that don't
yeah,
work.
yeah. I've been pretty lucky on that. The leg's just been like a doozy, and I did that in 2010, and
Yeah.
it still hurts me every single day of my life. Like something for sure is not right with it, so that's
Yeah,
not great.
like I have stuff that's lingering for a while, and I just kind of text Dr. Brian. I'm like, hey man, I gave him a
Yeah.
list last time. He's like, dude, you sound like a country song. I was like, I know.
It's funny because I was supposed to go see him this winter and have him look at the hardware in my leg to see what we could do about it. And then Josh broke his leg. So it was like, well, I can't deal with it now. I gotta wait until Josh is mobile. So,
Wow. I mean, yeah, you
yeah.
guys can't both be crippled,
I
right?
know you have to like schedule your crypt.
Okay, so Patty Murphy. You remember
Hi,
Patty?
Fatty. Oh, yeah. What's up,
Yes.
Fatty?
So Patty asks if I could ask you if you plan on doing team shirts. She still has hers from years ago and wouldn't mind adding another to the collection. You always made it a point to sell women's shirts.
Yeah, this year we did some shirts, but they were not women's shirts. Next year, I'm sure we're gonna do some, and just for you, Patty, I will make sure we do some women's gear specifically.
Yeah, I told her I still have your cycling kit from like 10 years ago.
I know, dude, so do I. It's
The Road
careful to
Racing
get
World kit, right?
the rotor. Oh man, that's a really
Yeah,
old one.
yeah, dude. Maybe it was longer than
Yeah.
10 years ago. I don't
Oh,
know.
it was a while ago. But I
Yeah.
think we're gonna do cycling kits this year because actually, Kayla came and stayed with us, and we got her on a road bike, and she did 150 miles in her first week.
That's awesome.
Dude,
She's like determined, man. Like
yeah,
she
and
wants
she's
to
like
win.
Chopper. She like doesn't feel pain.
Yeah, she's
She's
pretty
wild.
tough, right? I mean, she's kind of got
Yeah.
a trick knee or something, right? Like,
Yeah, that's why we wanted to get her into cycling because she's a little limited, in what she can do.
yeah.
I think she like doesn't. Yeah, she has to be a little careful. But dude,
Uh,
she killed it on the bike. It's amazing.
Chad Bishop Nankervis says that he loves your take on the Prodigy video.
I
I
don't
don't,
know what that's about.
I don't either. I was like gonna ask you, like, I don't know. Was that
Yeah,
for the kids on bikes thing, or I'm not really
I
sure.
don't know, man. I got nothing.
Because
No idea.
because of you, I sent my niece in Australia a fucking Strider,
Yeah,
right?
it's so cool. I love
It's
it.
like, dude.
Dude, they're
Yeah,
great.
I got another niece now, so like I gotta send something else this year. But
You got to get her straighter now.
yeah, well maybe they could move the old Strider to the new kid, and I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
send an
So
electric one. You
stay
know?
sick. Stay sick for the older one.
Yeah, yeah.
They're cheap. It's
So
fine.
yeah, send a electric Yamaha to them. That'd be kind of neat. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think my sister-in-law might murder me overseas. So I don't know.
Nah.
Okay,
It'll be
so
fine.
yeah, so let's see. Oh, here's the fun one that I told you I was saving for the show. But Daniel Montgomery,
Oh
something
no,
about
I'm
Josh making
nervous.
a sandwich. You know,
What's this?
yeah, you remember was Josh's sandwich ready on the
Oh
table and it,
yeah,
yeah,
that's right. I said he
and
should ask.
go ahead,
Do I have to say it?
say it.
And tell him to ask his mama. Ask
There you
his mama
go.
if she made that sandwich for Josh.
Wow. I don't know. I mean, like I had to share that with you because I was like,
No,
dude,
I
what a,
know, it was good. Yeah, it's so funny because, and I think he was being funny. I get the
oh,
impression he was
100%.
he was just being cute.
Yeah.
But people outside of the sport a lot of times want to say like, "Oh, do guys give you a hard time?" Like, is it hard being a female in our sport? And it's not. It's crazy. Like I very rarely have people be nasty to me or like unkind. And
Right.
like man, I just really have to like give props to our sport because it's a really good place to be a girl, honestly.
I mean, I think our sport's a very good place to be, period. I mean, a lot of the shit
Yeah.
that happens all over the world and that shit doesn't happen in the paddock, Like
No, yeah.
all that political nonsense, like when you go to the paddock, that shit's not there, you
Yeah.
know?
It's a really nice cross section of human.
It's like
Like
a
I mean,
bubble.
we're all delinquents for sure. Like we are
We're
in fact a
scumbags.
lot.
We're
Yeah, for
scumbags,
sure.
for sure.
But it's like we're scumbags with honor.
I'm gonna use that. I'm filing that. I'm making stickers for that. You
Do
know what?
it.
Fuck that. I'm gonna make a T-shirt on the Track Days website that'll say "We're scumbags with honor." I love it.
Sweet.
I know I'm gonna use it with your being the quote for that.
Okay, make sure that you make some women's sizes for me and
I
Patty.
fucking will, man. That'd be
All right,
awesome.
sweet.
Oh my god, that's
uh,
I hope the guy that makes my T-shirts is watching this because I'm literally gonna make him make that.
yeah.
Okay. D- wow. Okay, so then let's see. I can't remember how to pronounce her last name, but she was the one that won the Build Train Race thing this year.
Kaylee Bike.
Bike,
How to say bike?
because it's spelled all like,
I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
BU. I mean, come on, man. Like,
Just
okay, so yeah, so she says that you're the best and an amazing human all around, on and off the
oh
track. You're a
gosh.
force, all
Do you know how
that.
much I had to
So
pay her to say all that stuff? I paid her
well,
a
she
lot.
won. So I mean, you
Yeah.
rigged it for her, right? Like you put
Yeah,
sugar in everybody
totally.
else's gas
Yeah.
tank and stuff, right?
Yeah. Dude, the girls this year were rad, honestly. Most of them were like so cool and they were just like there to figure it out and dude, they were sending it. It's funny
They
because
were.
I had some technical problems at the training we did in the beginning of the season, so I didn't really get to ride with them very much. And Kaylee afterwards was like, I was bummed because I really wanted to ride with you. And I was like, girl, I couldn't have kept up with your ass. Like, I did not want to go that fast on that bike. Like, she was sending it.
Yeah.
So,
I know
and a
that
lot of those girls were.
I know that she and it's blanking me right now. Robert's wife, um,
Crystal. The
Crystal. Yeah.
holy.
So,
Yeah,
dude, I have like
I
issues,
know.
right?
It's fine.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So she and her and Crystal had that thing where they, you know, and I was just
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? I know we taught you better than that new racer, you know?
Oh, dude. It was so bad.
Like I forwarded that to
Crystal, like,
LGB.
Crystal, like, rolled into the winner's circle and she looked at me and was like, what did she say to me with her big eyes? And she was like, I didn't see it or something like that. And I was like, shut the fuck up. And I was like, whatever, dude, we'll deal with it later. Like, we've all been there,
Yeah,
right? Like,
100%.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, you messed up and there's going to be repercussions, but like, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I
Whatever.
remember sending the video to LGB, our guy that does the new racer school thing or
You're
whatever.
like, revoke your
And I
license.
was like, bro, did we miss something? We skipped that
Dude,
day? And he's like, I
those
didn't
girls
skip.
fully like looked at each other and like kept going.
They're like, fuck you, I'm not letting off. All right?
Yeah,
Like,
they were like looking at the other one to see if they were gonna like roll out, and they're like, no, no, okay,
super
cool. Like, let's
funny.
just keep. Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but
Crystal
we can
did
all.
get a Crystal did get a win at the end, right?
Yeah, she did
She
get a
did.
win. Where was it?
Was it Jersey?
Yeah, it might have been Jersey. I
Yeah, I
think it
mean
was. So stoked for her.
yeah, I was hoping she would get one. I mean, she was so close so many times and then,
Yeah.
for whatever reason it just didn't work out, but yeah,
Let
I
me
mean,
tell you how cool Crystal is, because I feel like this will like up her street cred with you. She fell down in the rain in practice at Road America and hurt herself. Like fell on her shoulder pretty bad. First they were like, okay, you're done for the weekend, like you can't race. And then as the day dragged on, she was getting mad about it. 'Cause she was like, I want to race. Like she wasn't gonna race. Like they were like, you're not. They declared her unfit, basically.
wow.
And um she was like, I want to see if they'll like change their decision. And I was like, all right. And like we went behind the truck and like we talked about it. I was like, they're gonna make you do push-ups, like for sure. I know they
Wow.
are. And I'm like, you can't cry. You're gonna have to like suck it up. And like, dude, she did it. Like she marched in there and she like I don't know how she did it. She did her push-ups and they let her race, but like, dude, she was hurting. And she just had to like go in there and like fake it and act like it was fine and like I was just like, "Oh, this chick's like she's the real deal. Like she really wants it." And then well, there's a little bit of chaos in the race, but she was racing great.
Is that like standard procedure that when to check if you're okay, they make you do push-ups?
No, it's just
Because
like
I'd be
she
fucked. Like I
I
wouldn't
know,
be able to
right?
do. I
I
can't do
was like
push-ups.
I tried to tell her, I was like, you should have said, I can't even do a push up when I'm not hurt. I'm a girl.
Wow.
I mean, milk it when you have to, right?
I,
But,
wow.
but no, it was just she had like an upper body, it was like an arm or a shoulder injury. It's like how they make sure that you can.
Yeah.
I think a push up's like pretty accurate for like being able to brake, like
Yeah.
turn and
Yeah.
steer a motorcycle. So yeah,
Well,
it was funny because they let her do one on her knees first, like a girl push up, but then they made her do like a full one anyways. So I'm like, well, now you're just like tiring her out, like before the actual. I was like talking, I was trying to like distract
you're
him
talking
and like,
trash.
yeah, I was trying to
I,
like make light of the situation so that she'd like not like start bawling in the middle of the medical center. So
wow.
yeah, she did a great job though. Like honestly, like that was like a big thing for me. I was like, damn, this chick's like she's legit. Like she's tough.
So
That was cool.
are you planning on being involved in that program next season, or are you kind of busy with your two riders?
Yeah, that was actually my last weekend being
Oh,
involved in that program.
okay.
So, yeah, I'm still friends with most of the girls and kind of like got to advise from afar for the rest of the season, but I
Okay.
am no longer officially involved with it at all.
Okay.
Yeah, moving right along.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an off air discussion.
I mean, look, people do say things here, so I don't know. I mean, if you want to,
Yeah,
it's cool. If you don't, that's
nah.
cool.
I think it's a great program, and I'm really happy for the opportunities it's giving women in the sport.
I mean,
I think I just
do you think some of those women that like say Kylie, right? Kylie,
Kaylee, Kaylee.
Kaylee. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Kaylee, like, do you think that she is going to move out of that class
Yeah.
and race like something else, like Super Sport or something, or
I think she
Twins
will.
Cup.
I think she's gonna do something like that. Yeah, for sure. Talking to her, I think that's her plan. Obviously, like the budget for it is huge. Um, the cool thing with BTR was like it did not cost those girls, as much as a season of racing in another class would. They pretty much just had to build their bikes, but other than that, like everything else was covered. So being able to like find the money to put together a Moto America season is pretty intimidating. But I think Kaylee does definitely have plans to like take a step now.
Well, I think she club races an R6 or something already, right?
Yeah, she's selling her R6 now. Trying
Okay,
to talk her into getting an R7. So
there you
we'll
go.
see. Yeah.
I keep telling Gil Ramos to get an R7. He'd probably go the
Dude.
same lap times.
I feel like everybody needs to get an R7. Like they're just cool, man. They're cool bikes.
I mean, we had three of them this year,
Yeah.
and I I rode them a little bit, but I'm an R1 guy, dude. Like
Yeah, I'm the
it's
same.
exciting. It makes the best noise. Like
Oh, it's
there's
so
no bike,
nice.
there's no bike in the paddock that makes as
And all
cool
those
and
buttons, they got so many buttons on them.
dude.
It's
It's
cool.
like you saw the dash that's on my pile, right? The
Mm-mm.
I2M. I've got one of those I2M
Oh,
things,
you're fancy.
and dude, it's like a video game. It's like
So with the I2M and the YEC, if I remember correctly, you can do segments on the track and have
I'm
it
still trying to
change.
figure out how to do that. I'm working with Darren
Oh,
Marshall a little bit to try to
yeah,
figure out how to do it. He seems to be smarter than most people.
yeah.
So,
I've heard that you can do that though. It's pretty cool.
yes, supposedly I can do sectoring
Yeah.
somehow, but I haven't quite figured out. And I haven't ridden it long enough to figure it out because every time I get close, I end up throwing the thing down the road. And,
It's so
you know,
weird.
you know how it is.
I know
I
how
mean,
it
and the
is.
last time, last year I sent it down the road a little bit at Thunderhill, and I had to send the dash to get repaired.
Ooh.
So it goes back to Italy, and they repair it and send it back.
Oh, yeah, it's not
Yeah,
ideal.
no, it's not free or cheap
It's
either.
weird. You'd
Yeah.
think that'd just be a service that they'd offer.
I mean, the AIM dudes kind of do that, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's true.
but they have
Yeah,
it. They do it right here, like.
in Lake Elsinore, right?
Yeah, yeah, they do it like
Yeah,
right down the road. It's not like sending it
yeah,
to Italy, right?
yeah. I just got the Motec dashes for our R7 for this year, and I'm already like protective cover for it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
mine didn't get damaged physically like that. Mine it actually yanked the harness out and pulled the back of the dash out. So
Oh,
that it needed a new motherboard, basically.
oh.
So, pro tip, cut the little locking pin on the connector, and then
So it'll just fall out.
it'll just fall out. Problem solved. That's a Stamboli thing, by the way.
That's a bad day.
Yeah, dude. So, but then you got to go
Oh,
find it, right? You got to go.
yeah, yeah, it's true. There's that.
And you.
Josh had to climb a tree one time to get the dash from his Yamaha. In turn one, he fell at Road Atlanta, and like no joke, the dash was up in a tree.
Oh my God. Well, those Morelli dashes were like super hard to come by, right?
Yeah, dude, even the Motec dash we're using right now, I had to like connive some dealer in Australia to sell it to me because I couldn't find one in the US.
Oh my God. Oh, and by the way,
Yeah,
Ricky Bobby, Bobby Levitt, he says, pro tip, don't do a Dustin.
yeah,
Uh-huh,
there's
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That too. That's
working on
helpful.
that, working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so tonight, I'm rocking this CTML shirt, and and it's got track day shit on it, but I'm rocking it because CTML is a club sponsor for CRA. And I just kind of scumbagged him into letting go of some more money, and he's gonna
Yeah,
be,
scumbags with honor.
yes, scumbags with honor. I'm totally gonna make that T-shirt. You watch. When I make it, I'm gonna send you one, just like I did the
I
R1
hope you do.
Mafia, right?
Yeah, please do.
Um, yeah. So CTML is gonna sponsor a class again next year with CRA, but dude, he's paying like 15 grand. So I mean, these racers are gonna have all sorts of stuff to go after,
what
and
what class?
I'm guessing the Gold Cup, the one with
The big one.
the Premier race. Yeah, like
Okay.
he was sponsoring Stock 1000 this year, but next year he's gonna do Gold Cup. So And he's all excited. He says he's gonna wrap his vet and stuff. Like,
I love it.
that class we do a pro start kind of thing where sighting lap and then the umbrellas and shit. So it's pretty cool. He's really excited about it, and the club is stoked to have him as part of the program. And
That's so
the racers are stoked to leave with $1,000 in their pocket when they win at a
cool.
club
Yeah,
race.
money's nice.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, what we've done at the CRA, building up something from nothing, and somehow managing to get sponsors to pay people.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's amazing to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I think
No,
just
it's cool.
about this past year, almost all of our classes had some kind of something.
Dude, I think I
We even
saw
got
even the girls' class had a purse.
yeah, yeah, yep. The
I
Harley
need to
class
come.
has a purse,
I
like
need to come
Foster's
race.
Freeze. Yeah, you
I love
should.
it.
We have the Foster's Freeze guy. That dude like puts out some serious money for those Harley dudes, and he comes on the Saturday night. When we do the barbecue and stuff, he comes and does ice cream socials.
Dude, I was just gonna say, like, are you able to accept your prize like as store credit instead of actual cash money? Because I'd be like, just give me $1,000 worth of ice cream.
You know what? I think you get a check and the ice cream,
Oh, amazing.
right?
Dreams come true. I'm
Yeah, I mean, the ice cream
sure.
socials, were no joke, man. Like it was out of hand.
That's
Honestly,
sick,
it was
dude.
out of
I
hand.
love it. Oh, I
Um,
can't wait to come play with you
you're.
guys.
I mean, but we were at Buttonwillow in the summertime too, so it was like
Yeah.
really welcome addition to the weekend.
Yeah.
So,
That's dope. Love
um,
it.
well, Melissa, you know what, man? It's been super fun tonight. Thank you for your openness.
Yeah.
Like you didn't hold back too much, right?
No. Did anyone keep the F on? Pretty good.
You know what? I think you did great this
I'm learning
time.
French now, so I'm learning how to do it in French instead.
I mean,
It sounds classier.
I like we were Lily and I have this thing where it's like, oh, it sounds so much better in Spanish, right?
Yeah. C'est quoi
Right.
ce bordel? Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Anyway,
Uh,
well, you know what? Thanks for this, Melissa. I'd like to have you on again at some point in the future, and I best of luck to you and Kayla and Aiden,
Aiden.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
whoop that ass, hurt some
All
feelings and
right.
all that, and scumbags with
Honor.
what honor? Yeah, there you go.
Honor.
Yeah, dude,
Love it.
I'm totally sending that to Gary right now.
Please do. Can't wait. I'm
All
a
right,
women's meet.
Melissa.
All right.
All right, Melissa. Well, go back to being a mon and stuff, and
Yeah, I'm
I'll
on
see you
it.
at the. I hope I see you at round 1
Yeah.
of CRA. All
I'll
right.
do my best. All right.
You
See you
better.
guys.
See
Thanks
ya.
for having me.
Yeah, man.